My breakup with Elijah was incredibly ugly. We went from lovers to enemies, mutually disgusted by the sight of each other. Everyone in our circle said he hated my guts. So, when I had no choice but to beg him for help regarding my gallery, they all assumed I was doomed. I assumed the humblest posture possible and pleaded before him. I stood there until my calves trembled, only to see him casually pat his lap. "We can talk. Come sit on my lap, and we'll talk." Chapter 1. Are you saying you sold the place 2 years ago? You haven't been the landlord this whole time? Yeah. Didn't I give you a new bank card number 2 years ago? That belongs to the buyer. Did he never contact you? If someone had contacted me, I wouldn't just be finding out about this now. The landlord had changed, and I didn't even know who the other party was. Then why didn't you tell me? Sigh, I was too busy back then. I assumed he would contact you. I definitely gave him your contact info. Who knew this would happen? I was a bit angry. No wonder the rent increase notice wasn't sent to my phone, but taped to the front door. If it weren't for the rent hike, I'd probably still be completely in the dark. Ah well, it's no big deal. I'll send you his contact info, and you can call him to discuss it yourself. Alright? At this point, there was no use dwelling on it. After receiving the contact info from my former landlord, I didn't look closely and dialed the number right away. It rang for a long time. Just as I thought the other party wouldn't pick up, the call connected. Hello? Who is this? A familiar voice suddenly drilled into my ear. My mind instantly went completely blank, entirely incapable of thought. Hello? Who is this? Do you need something? Elijah's voice carried a hint of impatience. I forced myself to snap back to reality and answered in a panic. I am Noah. Elijah's voice suddenly dropped several degrees, freezing the atmosphere between us into stiff ice. It also instantly cleared my chaotic mind, restoring my ability to think rationally. My previous panic and disarray vanished. It's me. I'm not calling for anything else. Did you buy the property I'm renting 2 years ago? 138 Spring Road? Yes. I want to talk to you about the rent increase. I know the rent in the surrounding area has gone up, and it's reasonable for you to raise it, but could you please not? Noah, is this the attitude you take when begging someone for a favor? Elijah cut me off, impatience bleeding into his tone. He was in his 30s, yet his voice still carried a trace of youthful delinquency. If you want to talk, we meet and talk face to face, formally. Besides, I'm very busy right now. Did you think everyone has as much free time as you do? I swapped my phone from my slightly trembling right hand to my left. A bitter taste spread through my mouth. All right, Mr. Elijah, name a time and place. I will be there on time. He hung up, and I received an address. An employee next to me leaned in. How did it go, boss? Did you work it out? I put my phone away and smiled bitterly. I have one piece of good news and one piece of bad news. Which do you want to hear? Can't you just say them both together? Fine. The good news is that the new landlord is my ex-boyfriend. The bad news is that I was the one who initiated the breakup. He begged me to stay, but I left him ruthlessly. My employee's face instantly twisted into a grimace. Boss, isn't that just bad news and worse news? Whether it was bad news or worse news, I still had to go. The address Elijah gave me was a bit far. Looking at the taxi fare, I really wished I could make him reimburse me. After all, he was a wealthy, eligible bachelor now, and I was just a pauper. Staring at the luxuriously decorated entrance, I seriously doubted if I could even get in. Fortunately, Elijah must have left word. Someone escorted me upstairs the moment I arrived. Downstairs was a club. Upstairs were private rooms. Before we got together, Elijah was a huge party animal. After we got together, he voluntarily quit all of this just to give me a sense of security. Mr. Elijah is right inside. Please go in yourself. I nodded. After the attendant left, I slowly placed my hand on the doorknob. Even the best soundproofing materials couldn't block the chest-thumping bass of the music inside. I pressed a hand to my chest and pushed the door open. I don't know if the entrance was just too conspicuous or if I made too much noise opening the door, but the moment I walked in, all eyes focused on me. Those who knew me looked shocked. Those who didn't looked intrigued. But Elijah didn't look at me. I knew my purpose. I navigated through the crowd and stood before him. There was no one sitting immediately beside him, but the table in front of him was piled high with alcohol. The talking in the room had stopped, though the music still blared. Mr. Elijah, this isn't exactly a suitable place to discuss business. Should we find a more appropriate location? Elijah finally looked at me. He lifted his thin eyelids, looking incredibly lazy but not unkempt. Noah, right now you are begging me. I am not begging you. What gives you the right to make demands? I took a deep breath. Meeting his mocking gaze, I instantly felt deflated. I really shouldn't have come to him. If I lose the gallery, I lose the gallery. People whose ties should have been severed reconnecting like this. I don't know who this is supposed to torture. If you want to talk, drink this. Then we can go wherever you want to talk. Elijah tilted his chin up slightly, gesturing for me to look at the alcohol on the table. Vodka. Let alone now, even 3 years ago when my health was fine, I wouldn't necessarily have drunk it. Let alone the fact that I had completely quit drinking, and my doctor had strictly forbidden it. So I couldn't drink this, whether for the sake of my health or anything else. I wondered if I turned around and walked out right now, would Elijah still give me a chance to negotiate later? If not, I would truly have to pack up and close the gallery. Just as I hesitated, Elijah suddenly sneered. It's just 1 glass of alcohol. Does Mr. Noah really need to think about it for this long? Do you not drink when meeting your usual clients? Or does Mr. Noah think I'm not worthy of a toast from you? I froze. I can't. Elijah suddenly sat up straight. If you don't want to drink, that's fine. I'll give you another option. A malicious smile suddenly appeared on his face. He patted his own thigh. Either finish this drink and we talk, or sit on my lap and we talk. What do you say? The reaction from the people around us was bigger than mine. They had clearly been paying attention to this side of the room. So despite the noisy environment, they heard Elijah's words loud and clear. Oh ho, it's been so many years, and Mr. Elijah still likes this kind of play? You should have said so earlier, we could have introduced you to some people. Yeah, there's no shortage of people willing to do that. Noah, since you're here to beg for a favor, you need to show some sincerity. Mr. Elijah is even giving you a choice. If it were me, I'd make him sit on the lap while drinking the alcohol. The surrounding comments were laced with malice. I instantly understood why Elijah invited me here. It was nothing more than an attempt to mock me, humiliate me, and put me, the ungrateful ex who dumped him, in my place. When we were together, he never treated me like this. When we broke up, I was the one who said all the cruel words. Did Elijah really think I would swallow my pride and beg him just because of this? If it weren't for the thought of leaving a bridge unburned for the future, I would have picked up the glass on the table and thrown the liquor right in his face. Unfortunately, I couldn't do that now. Since Mr. Elijah has no sincere intention of discussing business, let's forget it for today. We can schedule another time. I raised my wrist to check my watch, completely ignoring the flash of anger in Elijah's eyes. It's getting late. I'll be taking my leave. After saying that, without waiting for anyone to react, I walked straight out. From the moment I entered to the moment I left, it had been less than half an hour. Chapter 2. I don't know if Elijah forgot my personality, or if he naively thought that 3 years could change my temper. Either way, he miscalculated. Walking out of the club to catch a cab, I realized this place was a nightmare for hailing rides. There were simply no empty cabs coming this way. There were plenty of designated drivers around, but I didn't have a car. I was so high and mighty when dropping those harsh words just now. But now I was genuinely worried that Elijah, having lost face, would get so angry he'd send someone to beat me up. So even if I couldn't get a cab, I could only bite the bullet and start walking back. Damn Elijah. I just dumped him 3 years ago, didn't I? Is it really necessary to hold such a grudge? When we broke up 3 years ago, things did get incredibly ugly. In the end, the words we exchanged were full of thorns. Lovers turned into enemies. But at least we separated. It's just that back then, I never expected we would meet again one day, let alone that I would need to beg him for a favor. If I had known it would come to this, I would have shown some mercy when cursing him out. Otherwise, I wouldn't be in this situation. Just as I thought I really had to walk all the way back today, a car suddenly pulled up beside me. The man in the driver's seat rolled down the window, Elijah's friend. Get in, I'll give you a ride back. Robert. I had met him when I was with Elijah. I heard he was a massive gossip. I hesitated a bit, half because of his gossipy nature, and half because he was Elijah's friend. Get in. You won't be able to get a cab tonight. People who come here don't need to hail cabs. Great. Highly insulting. Fine, a free ride is a free ride. Of course, I didn't think he was sent by Elijah to take me home. After all, Elijah probably wanted to run me over with a car right now. I leaned more toward the idea that Robert had something he wanted to ask me. Sure enough, the moment I sat in the passenger seat, Robert opened his mouth. You should know that Elijah hates you right now, right? I leaned tiredly against the window. Of course. Then why did you still come? I let out a soft laugh. It's not like he can chop me into mincemeat right here. So what is there to be afraid of? Elijah wasn't the type to do that kind of thing. His methods of revenge were almost laughably childish. In fact, he could have just kicked me out of the gallery directly, rather than using a rent hike to get back at me. All right, it seems you haven't changed much after all these years. It's only been 3 years. 3 years isn't enough time to forget a person, or even break a small habit. How much could possibly change? True, just 3 years. Not much has changed. Robert paused. If I may be so bold to ask, how did you and Elijah break up? I adjusted my sitting position, finding a slightly more comfortable posture. You said yourself that the question is too bold, so I won't answer. Actually, I was very puzzled. Had Elijah never mentioned the reason for our breakup to them? Fine. Robert talked way too much. Even if I didn't reply to a single sentence, he didn't feel awkward at all, talking to himself about Elijah's life and experiences over the past few years. Are you Elijah's assistant? I couldn't help but interrupt him. Huh. You know so much about his affairs. It's like you specifically document his every word and deed. Do you go home every day and make a spreadsheet about it? Are you really not going to be poisoned to death by your own venomous mouth? Robert's tone carried obvious displeasure. Better that than being annoyed to death by him. Anyone with even a little bit of boundary awareness wouldn't bring up someone's highly unpleasant ex-boyfriend right in front of them. Robert finally quieted down, not saying another word for the rest of the trip. However, the smoothness of his driving noticeably decreased. I suspected he was deliberately trying to make me carsick so I'd throw up in his car. When we finally arrived at my place, I couldn't help but say, Mr. Robert, you should really find a driver. After saying that, I prepared to open the door and get out. Robert, who had been silent for a long time, suddenly spoke up. Mr. Noah, sometimes, swallowing your pride appropriately isn't a bad thing. I knew what he meant and I knew why he said it. My steps paused for a moment before I pulled the car door open and stepped out. The wind was strong tonight. I brushed aside my messy hair and smiled at Robert. When Elijah and I broke up back then, the one who groveled and begged to get back together wasn't me. What makes Mr. Robert think that now, just for a gallery, I would swallow my pride? Closing the car door, I walked toward my apartment complex entrance. I knew Elijah would definitely hear about this sentence, and he would most likely be angry. But words spoken are like spilled water, who cares? Of course, that thought vanished the moment I received a call from my employee. Boss, are you really going to let your paintings wander the streets? Including your most precious ones? Great. As expected of someone I hired, they accurately grasped my weak spot, so I could only swallow my pride and call Elijah again. Fortunately, I hadn't been blocked, and it didn't take long for the call to connect. To some extent, maybe I didn't annoy him too much at the club tonight. Noah, if you don't show up this time, we will never have to talk again. Elijah hung up after saying that, immediately sending over a new address. I learned my lesson this time and searched the location first. Fortunately, it wasn't some club or lounge. It was Elijah's house. For a moment, I didn't know if going to his house was more dangerous, or if going to the club was. Whatever. I had to go either way, otherwise I really would be wandering the streets clutching my paintings. Just as I was about to tell my employee about this, I turned around, and my vision suddenly went pitch black. I don't know how many times this kind of situation has happened over the past 3 years. I sighed, fumbled my way back to the bedroom, and lay straight down on the bed. Just sleep. It will be fine after I wake up. The next day, after finishing up some painting sales at the gallery, I prepared to head over to Elijah's place. Boss, there are obviously so many people who want to buy your paintings. Why are you hiding them? Couldn't you just sell a few and pay the rent? The employee asked, puzzled. I froze for a moment, then shook my head. Those paintings are my life. Can your boss sell off his own life? All right. Have a good talk with the landlord this time. Don't come back with nothing accomplished again. Don't worry. Chapter 3. Taking a cab to Elijah's familiar neighborhood, I cursed the capitalists under my breath. The estate was massive, showing zero consideration for people without cars like me. When I finally reached his house, a stranger opened the door before I could even ring the bell. Mr. Noah, I'm Mr. Elijah's assistant. Please come in. His home hadn't changed much. Still sterile and spotless like a model house. Previously, my paintings had added color to the corners. But now, only cold black, white, and gray remained. Following the assistant's directions to the second floor, memories of our past flooded my mind with every step. Returning to a familiar place really messes with your head. Expecting him in the study, I was surprised to see him emerge from the art studio. Come here. I froze. That was the studio he built specifically for me. When we broke up, he threatened to smash it to pieces. yet it remained completely untouched. Sitting there, he looked exactly like I used to. Looking at the canvases, I realized he had learned to paint over the last 3 years. You learned to paint? I asked. Is that not allowed? Or are you the only one who can? He retorted sharply. I frowned, getting straight to the point. Let's talk about the rent. I can accept an increase, but isn't this too much? He kept his eyes on the canvas. Despite painting, neat freak Elijah was completely spotless. What's the rush? Is this your attitude when begging for a favor? What shows sincerity? Sitting on your lap. I scoffed. He finally put down his brush. Too late. You missed that chance yesterday. What exactly do you want? I asked helplessly. Elijah stood up, his gaze sweeping over me. Noah, I thought you fought so hard to leave me for a better life. Look at you now. Not a single new piece in 3 years, selling off old works for cheap, and losing your gallery. What was the point of leaving me? He scrutinized my face. Was this revenge? He didn't look happy doing it. Did you lose your inspiration because you left me? He taunted. I wouldn't tell him the real reason. It would only cause more trouble. Mr. Elijah, if you're done, can we get to the point? We can talk business, Elijah said, sitting back on the sofa. I won't raise the rent or even charge it at all. But I have one condition. What is it? Be my model. Just like when I modeled for you. Take off all your clothes. Deal? He stared at me smugly, certain I would compromise. But he overestimated the gallery's importance to me. I only kept it to guard our fleeting memories. No thanks, I said, offering a relieved smile. I don't want the gallery anymore, and I won't pay the rent. I'll move everything out before the end of the month. Noah, what do you mean? I opened the studio door and heard a sketchbook slam onto the floor behind me. Noah, your stubborn temper. Would it kill you to lower your head and admit you were wrong? His roar echoed through the villa as I walked downstairs. I glanced at his awkward assistant on the way out. Your boss seems a bit hot-headed lately. Buy him some herbal tea. I'm leaving. Back at the gallery, I faced my expectant staff. Sorry, the deal fell through. We're all out of a job by the end of the month. Despite the bad news, lying on the gallery sofa, I felt unusually calm. The heavy stone in my heart had finally dropped. Elijah and I had chosen this place together. Now he was gone and the shop was going too. Honestly, I've wanted to close it for a while. What's the point of a painter who can't paint running a gallery without new art? My previous meaning was Elijah, but seeing him erased my lingering obsessions. We were impossible now. Most importantly, my illness is worsening. I don't know when I'll go completely blind. I can't seek treatment here because Elijah's friends are everywhere. He's too smart, he'd figure it out immediately. This is the best outcome. It's better that he knows nothing, that he just hates and resents me. I don't want to be a burden to him when I go blind. He deserves better. Chapter 4. So you're just not going to tell him anything? Noah, do you think you're still 18? He's so rich. What kind of disease can't he cure? When William came over to my place, I was packing my bags. I had finally told him the secret I'd been keeping for the past few years. After all, if I waited until after I left to tell him, we might really not be able to be friends anymore. He's nothing to me anymore. Why should he spend his money to cure my illness? William pointed at my head, furious at my stubbornness. Do you really think you did the right thing? At least it's good for both of us. Noah, couldn't you just... William, this disease is incurable. It doesn't matter how much money is spent or who tries to treat it. It's a genetic issue. William fell silent. When he spoke again, his voice was choked with emotion. Is it really incurable? Yeah. Look on the bright side, I might just go blind. It's not like I'm going to die. William leaned back on the sofa and sighed. Noah, only you could have such a positive mindset about this. If Elijah knew you broke up with him because you were sick and didn't want to drag him down, he'd probably cry like an idiot, wouldn't he? I carefully wrapped my belongings, imagining the scene William described. I couldn't help but smile. Definitely not. He'd just cuss me out and then carry me home over his shoulder. Carry you home and toss you around in bed, right? The smile vanished from my face. I threw a plush toy at him. What are you thinking about? Hee hee. I'm actually looking forward to a scene like that. I grew serious. You absolutely cannot tell him about this. I know. My lips are sealed tightest. Don't you know that by now? It was true. The reason I told William was exactly because I knew he could keep a secret. Some secrets become too heavy to bear alone for too long. You really need someone to share the weight. But Noah, do you think this is fair to Elijah? Being dumped by the person he loves for no apparent reason. Thinking it was his own fault, He might doubt himself for a long time, maybe even become too afraid to date again. Do you think that's fair? A bitter taste flooded my tongue. It wasn't fair. But what else could I do? If I told Elijah directly, he definitely wouldn't agree to break up. But before long, he would start to resent it. No one wants to take care of a blind person forever. I didn't want to stick around to see that day. After I leave, I'll find a chance to explain it to him. Besides, he seems to be doing pretty well now. He probably isn't stuck in those emotions anymore. Maybe. As your friend, I respect your choice. After I hung the closed for business sign on the gallery door, a few customers came to ask about paintings they had viewed previously. But I didn't plan on selling those, so I politely declined them all. After all, I wasn't so destitute yet that I had to sell my most treasured pieces. With nowhere to store the gallery's paintings, I had to move them all to my apartment. My place wasn't big to begin with, and now there was barely any room to step. Worried that treating William to dinner at home might ruin the paintings, I decided to hold our final farewell gathering at a bar. Can you drink with your condition? A little bit is fine. I haven't touched alcohol in 3 years. This will be the last time. William nodded. We chatted about my plans after leaving and about my medical treatments. We hadn't been talking long when we spotted an acquaintance. Not exactly an acquaintance, it was Robert. I heard you and Elijah completely fell out? Robert seated himself next to us with familiar ease. The incident at Elijah's house must have spread. Is everyone in your circle this gossipy? It's all right. Did you guys really fall out? You're closing the gallery too. I'm closing it and heading back to my hometown. Why? Is there a painting Mr. Robert has his eye on? Robert's expression became slightly unnatural. Actually, I don't think Elijah genuinely wants you to leave. Why don't you talk to him again? I waved my hand. No thanks. I'm afraid he'll get so mad he'll chop me into mincemeat. Things are fine the way they are now. Let's not make trouble. Oh, come on, you said yourself he's not that violent. What's there that you can't talk about? He's actually here today. Why don't you go over and chat with him? Elijah was here too. I turned my head and immediately locked eyes with a familiar pair. But the moment I looked over, Elijah hastily averted his gaze, as if he couldn't care less. Forget it. I was planning on closing the gallery and going back to my hometown anyway. Why? I'm getting older. I want to go back, find someone to date, and settle down. Is that a crime? Robert looked genuinely shocked, clearly not expecting this reason. You want to date? Yeah. Mr. Elijah and I broke up 3 years ago. Am I still not allowed to date? Young guys nowadays are quite good looking. It's the perfect time to give us older folks a boost. Who knows, maybe I'll meet my destined one tonight. Please let Mr. Elijah know that he doesn't have to worry about me bothering him anymore. Excuse me, Mr. Robert. Robert walked away looking dumbfounded. William looked at me and laughed. You've learned how to joke now. Seriously though, it's been 3 years and you don't seem affected at all. Giving up the person you love because of an illness? Is it worth it? I looked down and took a sip of my drink. Others might not know, but how could I not? My symptoms only appeared at night, and since I lived alone, of course no one knew how severe my condition was. Whether it's worth it or not, I've already come this far. I can't exactly turn back now, can I? True. Even if you grabbed Elijah right now and told him everything before was a lie and that you love him to death, he probably wouldn't believe you. He'd just think you were trying to scam him out of rent. I glared at William, but had to admit he was right. Elijah really might think exactly that. Your mouth is even more toxic than mine. I'm going to the restroom. You keep drinking. All right. I walked slowly toward the restroom, not actually needing to use it. I just felt like I was losing my composure and didn't want to show it in front of William. Sigh. People always cling to a ridiculous sense of pride, no matter the situation. I splashed water on my face and checked the time. It was past my usual bedtime. There had to be a limit to indulging myself. I planned to go out, say goodbye to William and head home. But the moment I stepped out, someone grabbed my arm and swiftly yanked me into an adjacent room. The door slammed shut right next to my ear. The intense, glaring white light made me instinctively squeeze my eyes shut. The next second, I was pinned against the wall by my throat. Even without opening my eyes, I could instantly tell who it was. I had only ever smelled this scent on Elijah. That guy sitting across from you just now. Your new boyfriend? Or just the next poor bastard you're going to dump for no reason? Elijah pressed his entire body against mine. When he spoke, his lips brushed against my ear, his voice dripping with viciousness. I honestly felt that no matter how I answered, he might bite my ear off in the next second. Noah, how many years have we known each other? Elijah suddenly changed the subject. I was confused, but instinctively answered, Not counting these past 3 years, 6 years, including these 3 years. Then it's 9 years. 9 years of knowing each other. 4 years of being in love. 3 years apart. Yes, 9 years. A full 9 years. How many 9 years does a person get in a lifetime? Could you just not lower your head? Is saying one soft word really that hard for you? My throat tightened. I couldn't utter a single syllable. Because I realized, couldn't see. Maybe it was the sudden transition from dark to blinding light that shocked my eyes. Maybe it was a sudden flare-up of my old illness. But I only knew one thing. Elijah absolutely could not find out. Otherwise, my 3 years of endurance would all be for nothing. I struggled to push the man in front of me away, keeping my head firmly lowered. Yes, it is just that hard. Didn't you know my personality when you chased me? I'm just a selfish, self-centered bastard who dumps people when he gets bored. I don't know how to yield or coax people. So stop wasting your time on me. Okay? My voice was laced with exhaustion and powerlessness. Noah, look me in the eyes. Tell me you don't like me anymore, that you hate me, that you are disgusted by me. Say it. I kept my head bowed dead tight, not daring to look up, let alone look into his eyes. I couldn't even tell where his face was, and I was certain that the moment I looked up, Elijah would instantly realize something was wrong. Elijah, are you a glutton for punishment? Didn't you hear enough of my insults when we broke up? Or has Mr. Elijah's life been too comfortable, and you just enjoy being verbally abused? Noah, look up and say it to my face. Looking at you makes me sick, so I don't want to look. Is that clear? As I said those words, I dug my nails fiercely into my palms. If I didn't, I was afraid I would speak my true feelings. I heard the sound of something crashing to the floor beside my ear. Elijah must have knocked something over. He was furious, but this was exactly the effect I wanted. Elijah, I just absolutely despise you. Did you think that by not letting me run the gallery, I would compromise and crawl back to you? How naive. You're almost 30. Can't you be a little more mature? There are so many people better than me. Can't you look at someone else? I hate you. How many times do I have to say it before you understand? Noah, they are wonderful, but none of them are you. Elijah's words jammed everything else I wanted to say right back down my throat. I struggled to move my lips, but found I truly couldn't make a sound. Elijah, someone like me, isn't worth this from you. Noah, as you wish. Let's just leave it at this. Chapter 5. The person in front of me stepped back, followed by the sound of a door opening and closing. The breath I had been holding for so long could finally be exhaled. So this was it, right? It was truly over. As proud as Elijah was, no matter how much he liked me, hearing those words should have killed any remaining hope. I wanted to go home, but my eyes still couldn't see. I didn't know how long it would take to recover this time. When Elijah dragged me in, I had no idea where we were, and now I was completely blind to my surroundings. Fortunately, I had my phone with me. Although I didn't know how to dial William manually, using voice commands should work. I pulled my phone from my pocket, fumbling to unlock it. Just as I was about to wake up the voice assistant, someone snatched the phone right out of my hand. I instinctively lunged forward to grab it back, only to crash directly into someone's chest. A familiar scent filled my nose, and my heart sank. Elijah hadn't left. That meant he had definitely seen how I just acted. He didn't even need to watch my movements. The fact that he hadn't left and I hadn't noticed was proof enough. Any idiot would know something was wrong. Coming to my senses, I shoved Elijah away hard. My brain felt like it had been hit by a hammer, and I could barely stand straight. I just wanted to get out of here as quickly as possible. But the next second, Elijah grabbed my arm. Noah, it's already come to this, and you're still refusing to tell me? I opened my mouth in a panic. Tell him what? Tell him I was currently blind? Tell him I couldn't see a thing? Ask him to take me home? I'm fine. What could possibly be wrong? I sensed Elijah reaching out to touch my eyes. Just as he was about to make contact, I instinctively turned my head to dodge. You're lying. There's something wrong with your eyes, isn't there? I didn't want to answer, and I didn't even want my phone anymore. I just wanted to leave. So I pushed Elijah hard, ready to bolt. But let alone knowing where the door was, I didn't even know where I was standing. Turning around so recklessly only resulted in me smashing my head right into a wall. But I couldn't care less about the pain. As long as I could leave, as long as I didn't admit it, even if Elijah guessed the truth, he couldn't prove it. Noah, you're still trying to act tough even now. Do you take me for a fool? He pulled me back, this time carefully wrapping me in his arms. His palm gently touched my forehead. Does it hurt? Are you an idiot? Charging straight into a wall like that. You weren't that smart to begin with. What if you knock yourself stupid? It has nothing to do with you. I tried to push Elijah away, but his hands were like they were welded to my waist, completely unyielding. I wanted to negotiate with him to let me go, but before the words could leave my lips, Elijah hoisted me straight over his shoulder. What are you doing? Elijah, put me down. Pressing down on my thrashing legs, Elijah carried me outside. The bar was loud, but I could feel him talking. It wasn't until we were outside that I could hear him clearly. I never should have believed your bullshit back then. Saying you didn't love me anymore. Saying you were bored. He stopped, pulled open a car door, and carefully placed me in the back seat. Then he leaned in, pressing his weight over me, and pinched my chin. His tone carried an inexplicable confidence. With how good of a catch I am, you'd get bored? Me. Elijah, can you have some shame? Elijah didn't reply. He sat me upright and buckled my seatbelt. As he backed out, he didn't forget to pinch my chin and plant a heavy kiss on my lips. My eyes widened in shock. This hooligan. Sit properly. Don't even think about jumping out of the car. If you die, I'll immediately go down and join you. Well, maybe not quite that much love. Are you trying to take me to a doctor? There's no need. I don't want to go. Seeing one won't change anything. Take me home. Not a chance. You don't actually think I broke up with you because of this, do you? I really broke up because I didn't like you anymore, you. Before I could finish, Elijah kissed me again. This time it wasn't a quick peck, but a very deep kiss. Noah, I won't believe a single word you say right now. We'll talk about the reason for our breakup later. And you don't actually think that saying all this will make me let you out of the car, do you? 3 years ago, I only agreed to the breakup because you provoked me. If you think you can pull that off again now, don't even dream about it. I was helpless. I sighed. There was nowhere to run. Mainly because I physically couldn't run even if I wanted to. My phone was gone and I couldn't see. Aside from sitting obediently in the car and awaiting Elijah's trial, what else could I do? Of course, I was still frustrated deep down. I was just one step away. If I hadn't run into Elijah at the bar today, I definitely wouldn't have been found out. Everything would have gone according to my plan. What a pity. I was one step too slow. Elijah took me to his family's private hospital. There really wasn't much to check. At this point, there was no need to hide it anymore. I directly admitted my condition, saving the doctor the trouble of running additional tests. The final conclusion was the same as my previous diagnosis. Mr. Elijah, Mr. Noah's condition currently has no cure. This is actually a congenital disease, but Mr. Noah's onset was relatively late. If he's lucky, it might not progress to total blindness in the future. If he's unlucky, it might not take long before he loses his sight completely. I had heard these words from many doctors before. I didn't know if I was lucky or unlucky. If the onset had been earlier, perhaps I wouldn't have chosen the path of art. Studying something else would have been fine. At least I could support myself. Unlike now, having seen the beautiful world, having witnessed the charm of art, only to lose it forever. It would have been better to have never had it at all. Elijah didn't say anything and led me out of the hospital. As we reached the entrance, it was as if he suddenly thought of something. You're not painting, it's definitely not just because of this, is it? If you were really going blind, you would be painting desperately while you could still see. But you aren't. So there has to be another reason, right? I forced a smile. Meeting someone who understands you too well isn't always a good thing. It's just, my hand was injured. It trembles when I hold a brush, so I stopped painting. Although I couldn't see Elijah's expression, I knew he was definitely angry, the absolutely furious kind. I was probably doomed. He originally wanted to take me for a full-body checkup. Too bad even private hospitals close for the night. The checkup would have to wait until tomorrow. So Elijah stuffed me back into the car and drove home without saying a single word. By the time we arrived at his house, my vision had started to return. You can see. Elijah handed me a glass of warm water. Then he sat down opposite me. He looked incredibly devastated. It seemed this revelation had dealt him a heavy blow. If I had known, I never would have gone to you about the rent. Then none of this would have happened. Hearing this, Elijah immediately snapped his head up and glared at me. I think I should have raised the rent much earlier, so you would have come to me sooner, and I would have found out about all this sooner. I shrugged. It doesn't really matter when you found out. The outcome wouldn't change anyway. We still would have broken up. Elijah suddenly stood up and sat down right next to me. What wouldn't change? So you might go blind. It's not like I don't know how to take care of you. Think about it. In the past, when you forgot the time while painting, who was the one taking care of you? But what? I will take care of you. I can take care of you. If it really comes to that and you might get hurt going outside because you can't see, I'll just carry you. You're light enough anyway. I can carry you. That's not what I mean. If you don't want to go out, we'll move to an island. I bought a small island and have been renovating it exactly the way you like. I'll spend all my money just to take care of you. I watched Elijah's eyes grow redder and redder. But you still have your company. I'll hand it over to my brother. My family isn't stupid. The company will run just fine without me. I don't want the company anymore. I'll stay with you 24 hours a day. Listening to Elijah's words, I almost burst into tears. He cupped my face, leaning in until his forehead rested against mine. Baby, I can accept you leaving because you don't love me anymore. But I cannot accept you leaving just because you got sick. And you even lied to me. It's not fair to me. I didn't know anything. I reached out and touched his face. Elijah, you deserve better. I don't want to hold you back. Do you understand? Is this holding me back? Do you think I'm a man with no sense of responsibility? Or do you think I only dated you just to enjoy the good times? Baby, I want to walk with you forever. If I got sick and wanted to break up with you because of it, would you agree to it? I instinctively shook my head. Perhaps it was because I couldn't imagine a day like that ever happening to Elijah. For me, just hold on a little longer, okay? Maybe with treatment you'll get better. We both knew that was impossible, but I nodded anyway. Chapter 6. That night, Elijah held me as we slept. Nothing happened, but I knew he didn't sleep a wink all night. The next day, he had someone go to my place to bring all my luggage and paintings back. The luggage I had packed to return to my hometown ended up just making things convenient for Elijah. Those paintings that had been put away for so long finally saw the light of day again. The reason I hadn't sold them was that they were all inspired by Elijah. As Elijah unpacked them, he shot me a smug look. And you said you didn't like me anymore. You couldn't even afford rent, yet you couldn't bear to sell these paintings. If you ask me, you're obviously just too madly in love with me. Elijah, you're so shameless. Elijah took me to see many renowned specialists, but the results weren't very positive. On the way back, I leaned against his shoulder. Do you resent me? Why would I? Because of my lies, we were separated for 3 years, and I said so many awful things to you. In the end, after going around in circles, we still ended up here. It made my 3 years of effort seem laughable. I don't resent you. I'm just angry. If you had told me earlier, I could have prepared earlier. When you couldn't see at night and I wasn't by your side, you must have been scared, right? I was scared. That feeling is different from just being in the dark. Because in the dark, you know that one day you will see the sunlight again. But I never knew if I would still be able to see the sunlight the next time I opened my eyes. After we got back that day, Elijah worked exceptionally hard in bed. Felt like he was getting revenge on me. Sure enough, he was still petty. He obviously held a grudge the whole time, yet he insisted on pretending to be magnanimous. But after it was over, he still obediently helped me clean up and bathe, finally carrying me back to bed. Leaving me, just look and see if you could ever find another man as good as me. How do you not know how to cherish what you have? Elijah nuzzled up beside me, placing sticky kisses on my neck. Why wouldn't I be able to? The young guys nowadays have great stamina. I lazily turned over and snuggled into Elijah's embrace, hugging his waist. Noah, do you want to take a look at where you are right now? Saying things like that, aren't you afraid I'll? I pinched his waist, but his abs were too firm. I couldn't pinch any fat at all. Elijah, say one more word like that, and you're sleeping in the study. My mistake, my mistake. Just as I was feeling drowsy, Elijah suddenly said, Baby, how about I travel with you? Let's go see the world. I instantly snapped awake and lifted my head from his chest. Are you serious? What about the company? I already told you. I'll drag my brother back to watch the company. I nodded. At the same time, I felt sympathy for Elijah's brother, and silently apologized to him in my heart. All right, let's go travel, Elijah. In September, we set off. We traveled around domestically first before heading abroad. Along the way, we received quite a few calls from Elijah's brother. At first, Elijah still answered them. Later, he stopped answering. Finally, he just blocked him altogether. By doing this, your brother is definitely going to hate you to death. Let him hate me then. I've carried the burden for him for so many years. Now his older brother wants to pursue happiness. So it's time for him to take over the company. Ignore him. I stood on the balcony. Behind me was a fiery red sunset. In front of me was the person I loved most. Elijah walked up to me, wrapped his arms around my waist, and dropped a kiss. Thank God I didn't miss out. I'm sorry. Don't say you're sorry anymore. Blame me. I didn't even notice your obvious changes. I should have realized it much earlier. I suddenly grabbed Elijah's hand. A ring was pushed onto the base of his finger. Elijah, let's get married. If you enjoyed this story, remember to subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much.